Can you allow yourself to just sit down and rest, even when there's still work to be done? The laundry is still there. The dishes are still there. Tomorrow still needs planning. You still have emails you've not responded to. But in the midst of all of that, you just take a step back and decide to stop, take a break, do something for you. Can you? And if you can, why do you still feel uncomfortable when you do? Because just a few minutes in, you're already thinking, maybe I should stand up and attend to this thing now. Let me sort this out immediately. I'll rest some other time. There's still so much work to be done. And then you get right back into work. Why? It's not as if the world is falling apart or there's any emergency, but you just can't help yourself. And maybe your schedule is not the problem. Maybe finding time to rest is not the problem. What you believe about rest, that's the problem. And that's why you're struggling to feel allowed to rest. So let's talk about that. The thing is, I don't think you struggle to rest when you're exhausted, because of course, exhaustion forces all of us to stop. So you go to bed, you sleep on the couch, you crash out at work, any of those things. Your body keeps score, so it would eventually take back what you owe. So that's not the issue. The issue is you now feel uncomfortable to rest till and unless you are exhausted. So for you, as long as you still have strength in your body and there's still work to be done, then there's no rest for you. You will keep at it until you're done. And that's a problem, because work is never finished. There will always be something for you to do. Another cleaning, another errand, another meal prep. Always be something. So you see that rule of, I will rest when I'm done. I'm sorry to say this, but that's a trap. It's a trap. And I know it sounds responsible, but it's also impossible. Adulthood doesn't work that way. Which means if that's the rule you live by, you will continue postponing your rest. And maybe you've lived that way for so long that it no longer sounds strange to you. In fact, as I'm speaking, you're like, is that not how it's supposed to be? Well, no, that's not how it's supposed to be. Because responsibility and endless availability, they are not the same thing. So I'm not saying you love being exhausted, right? But I do think that a lot of women have learned to associate their usefulness with their worth, right? So you're the dependable one. You try as much as you can to do everything as fast as possible. You've become the reliable one. And it's a good thing until that becomes your identity. So people know you for that. They rely on you, they look up to you, and they appreciate you for what you do. But at some point, you begin to measure yourself by that standard. So you feel valuable when you're helping out. You feel important when you're doing something. You feel appreciated. You feel valued when you're carrying something. So what happens when you're not carrying anything? When you take a step back? What happens when you rest? You see, for some women, that is where the discomfort starts, because rest interrupts that performance. And when usefulness has now become your identity, rest now feels like irrelevance. It forces you to exist without proving yourself. And that might feel strange, maybe even threatening. But on the other hand, you easily extend grace to other people. You understand why someone else needs to take a break, why they deserve support, why they need to rest. But for you, that rule doesn't apply. You have to make sure you work at it. Keep doing what you have to do until everything is sorted out before you take a break. And eventually, you start treating your own humanity as an inconvenience. Just to be clear, this conversation is not about abandoning responsibility. It's not about neglecting your family. It's not about pretending as though this work doesn't exist, because it does. But the question is whether responsibility has become so loud that you've stopped participating in the life that you're working so hard to maintain. You see, a while ago, I came across a post from a woman talking about how that she cleans her house every single day. And if you know what it means to have toddlers and cleaning the house every day, then you know what she means. She said it was very hard, but it was a sacrifice that she was willing to make for her children. And when I read that post, I understood exactly what she was saying. I could just hear love and responsibility speaking, literally. It was just a mother who wanted the very best for her children, to give them a clean environment, a good home, that kind of a thing. So I understand that. But a question kept coming to mind, and I commented that. I applauded her, but I still asked, I hope you are also taking care of you. Because as much as your children will experience the environment that you create for them, they are also experiencing the person creating the environment. But we're so focused on giving our children the very best version of life that we forget to ask if we're giving them the very best version of ourselves. Because guess what? Years from now, the children will not remember if every room in the house was clean every single day. But they will remember the feeling of you. They would remember if you were constantly anxious, or stressed, or worried, or overwhelmed. Yes. Or whether there was love, peace, presence, warmth, right? Room for imperfect moments. They would remember all of that. And we ignore that. So you become excellent at maintaining life, but you slowly lose the ability to experience it. And that's a very expensive trade, if you ask me. Because the people that you love, they don't just need your labor, they need you. And I find that many of us get stuck because of fear. Not fear of resting itself, but the fear of what might happen if we do. Because when you're carrying a lot of responsibility, you also become aware of the consequences. So you know that if I don't send that email now, something will be delayed. Or if I don't attend to that house chore now, it will just pile up. If I don't get on top of everything today, then it will just make tomorrow more difficult for me. And that is true. Sometimes it happens that way. But you also need to acknowledge the fact that not everything can be done today, right? Not everything can be attended to immediately. And maybe not by you. If it has to be attended to today, then maybe you have to delegate some responsibility to others around you. It mustn't be you. And that's fine. Although it might make you uncomfortable, especially if you're the kind of person that everyone depends on. You're the person that keeps things moving, right? It might feel uncomfortable because stepping back feels like you're being irresponsible. Taking a break will make you feel like you're letting people down. And everything depends on your constant effort, right? And before you know it, you stop asking, when do I rest? And you start asking, can I afford to rest? Because it becomes a very expensive commodity, one that you cannot afford yourself. And you see, I think that the question you should rather ask is, have I become so committed to preventing problems to the point that I am now responsible for carrying everything? Because trust me, there's a difference between being responsible and believing that nothing can function unless you're constantly sacrificing yourself. One is stewardship, the other is self-neglect. And sometimes the reason rest feels uncomfortable is not because it's not just my nature to sit down, right? You know, this belief that I can't just sit at a place, it's not in my nature. No, that's not it. Sometimes it's just because you've quietly accepted a role that no human being was designed to carry. The role of holding everything together all the time. And that burden will weigh you down because it's too much. It's too much for you to carry. One of the reasons Elijah's story stands out to me is because it shows what exhaustion can do to a person. Because by the time we find Elijah under that tree, he was depleted. Mentally, physically, spiritually, emotionally, and everything just felt impossible. In fact, he just wanted everything to end. He was tired. He wanted to quit. If we met Elijah at that point, we would assume that he has lost faith in God or that he has a character flaw. Maybe he lacks motivation or whatnot. We'll judge him and we'll judge wrongly because the man was just exhausted. And exhaustion has this way of speaking as though it's saying the truth. So exhaustion says, I'm tired, I'm done, nobody is seeing me, nobody appreciates me, I'm failing. And all of this might sound true because you are hearing it through the filters of depletion. So yes, you need rest, you need to eat, you need to sleep, you need all of that. But beyond that, you need restoration. Because I'm sure you had days where you slept all through the night, but you woke up in the morning still feeling exhausted. You've had weekends to yourself, but by Monday you are drained already, right? You've had those kind of experiences. But restoration, it gives you space to pour into yourself, space to be more than just what you do for others or what you give to others. Maybe it's taking a walk by yourself, listening to music, gardening, reading a book, worship. Maybe it's anything that gives you nothing but joy. The activity doesn't matter. I'm sure you can figure that out. You know what you can do that gives you that joy. So figure it out. But what I'm saying is that at that point in time, you're no longer functioning as a provider or a caregiver, right? Or a support system. No, you are just a person. You're just you. And I think many of us have forgotten how refreshing that can be. And that's another thing I love about this Elijah story. Because after restoration, he could see things differently. Mind you, the assignment hadn't changed. The calling hadn't changed. The journey itself hadn't changed. But Elijah had changed. He had enough strength to continue. He now had enough clarity to hear from God. Enough perspective to take the next step. All because he was refreshed. So, you see, it makes me wonder how many things in your life feel impossible just because you are exhausted. How many things in your life feel impossible just because you're looking at it from the lens of depletion. How many fears feel bigger? How many frustrations feel heavier? How many problems feel impossible? Because you're depleted. So sometimes what you're calling failure is actually exhaustion. What you're calling weakness, it might be exhaustion. What you're even calling spiritual problem, it might be exhaustion. So before you conclude that your entire life is falling apart, I need you to ask, is this really me talking? Or is this exhaustion talking? Just to reiterate, what I've been trying to say is that one of the most damaging ideas that leaves women drained is the idea that rest must be earned. That you have to prove yourself first. You have to finish everything first, serve everyone first, exhaust yourself first. Then maybe you are now allowed to stop. That idea. And if that's the standard that you live by, you will keep postponing rest. You will keep postponing rest. Because like I said, there will always be something that demands your attention. Another need, another task, another responsibility. There will always be something that needs you. So the truth is, rest is not the absence of responsibility. It is what equips you to carry that responsibility so that you're not crushed by it. And maybe that's the shift that you need to make today. Not waiting until you are exhausted. Not waiting until you have nothing left. Not giving until your body forces you to stop. But learning to rest even while there's still work. Learning to stop before exhaustion makes the decision for you. The goal isn't to stop being responsible. It is to stop believing that responsibility requires self-neglect. The people that you love don't need a version of you that is constantly running on empty. They need you to be full and fully present. So I need you to have this in mind and say it to yourself whenever you start feeling that hesitation. My life is not just meant to be maintained, it is meant to be experienced. Before you go, I'd love to hear from you. What part of this video resonated with you the most? And if this conversation was helpful, consider subscribing, because we are going to be unpacking those beliefs that keep women exhausted. I'll see you in the next video.